KZT1, so I'm super duper excited to check this out because this is the first fully wireless pair from KZ, and they do know how to please the market, especially in the budgetfi range. So yes, we're gonna unbox this and give you guys my impressions in how this sounds like, and how does it compare also with the other KZs here in the channel. We're gonna find out in this video. Of course, big thanks to TechShop28 for lending this unit for this review. Links down below for their shop. So it says Bluetooth 5.0, KZ True Wireless Stereo Earphones, self-custom large dynamic unit plus high-resolution BA. So it's a hybrid configuration, comfortable wear experience, and excellent noise isolation. Portable charging compartment up to 900 milliamperes, and flexible simple touch induction operation. Of course, when you open it up, you will get this one. Right, you will get the wireless pair right away. We're gonna put that aside and look at what's inside the box first. You do get an additional USB and also manuals, and also additional tips, the white tips that they have. Right, so now getting to the lobe, so it's made of metal. So you have KZ logo at the other side and information at the other side. It's all made of metal, and actually pretty substantial metal. Definitely this has some weight to it. And inside you're greeted with the IEM right away. And as you guys see, the lever here is you know, a bit different compared to what you get with others, because it kind of rises up, as you guys can see. So that is different. Actually, that doesn't feel reassuring. Because you know, additional hinges may lead to you know, breakage after some time. So I don't like this kind of hinge. So the lobes are made of plastic, and actually when you open it up, when you get it from the magnetic case, it does open up right away, and also does pair up, and you get this soft tips, which is something I like actually. So this is how it looks like. It does protrude from the ear a bit, but not so much. I'd say it's still in the okay category. It's not like other TWS that I have seen before. In terms of fit, this does fit well, but it's not super duper stable. This is not something that you want to use for some running. For walking, this is fine, but for running, this is not as stable as other IEMs that has some fins. So the TRNT100 is definitely more stable compared to what you get with a KZT1. In terms of isolation, it's above average, not so bad overall. This does isolate quite well. I can still hear my voice, but not so bad in terms of isolation, especially for a casual listen. It's pretty light on the ear also, so definitely comfort is right up there. In terms of range, this is around 5 meters in my actual usage. After 5 meters, I did experience some disconnection already. Also, each lobe in the battery lasts for 3 hours of actual usage. So I would say that is in the low side. I would want to have around 5 hours of usage. But you do have that case that lets you charge it for 7 to 8 times. So this may last you around 20 hours of, you know, total usage. This is also Bluetooth 5.0, so that's nice. The connection is more stable. In terms of connection, when there's no interference, this is pretty okay in terms of connection. This does connect quite well. But I did experience when I went to malls that this does disconnect from time to time, because there's already a lot of Bluetooth devices out there in the mall. So also another thing is this a bit weighty. Definitely more weighty than the TRNT100, and also more weighty than the AirPods, definitely. Definitely that is a con for something as compact as this. This is almost like 2 times the size of the AirPods. There's also a touch area here at the right and the left side. So if you want to move to the next track, you double tap the right lobe, and if you want to go back, double tap the left lobe, and you can also play and pause with just 1 tap. So that's nice that you have controls through the lobes. Unfortunately, I have some issue here. Sometimes this does accidentally press and it stops the music that I am playing. So I did encounter that maybe already 5 times, so that's unfortunate. So I'm just walking in the mall and sometimes the music stops, so that's kind of a big deal for me. Hopefully that can be fixed with a firmware update, but that's something for you guys to know. Likewise, this is a bit muffled for me, so here's a mic test. So this is the sound test of the KZT1. So as you guys can hear, it's a bit muffled, but it is understandable. But definitely, yes, your phone would be better in terms of, you know, answering calls. You can still hear it, but yeah, it's a bit muffled here in the KZT1. So definitely it's listenable, but it's a bit muffled, so it will be up to you if you like that or not. Whereas overall in terms of function and also connection, there's some issues here with the T1. So definitely that's something for you guys to consider if you want the KZ T1. Alright, next let's move to the sound. So even though this has some problems with connections and also, you know, the functionality overall, I would say that this sounds really good, you know, for a TWS, so it kind of makes up for that. So let's discuss the sound now. So this sounds eerily similar to what you get with a KZ ZSN or ZSN Pro, but tweaks some parts in the spectrum. So it's a V-shaped sound here in the KZ T1. It's smooth and also has some punch, so it's a lively sounding IEM. It's fun sound overall, especially due to that punch. So the highs here are well extended. It has some shimmer, no sibilance. However, this is a bit thin sounding here in the T1. So it's good that there's no sibilance here. So definitely for those who's buying this, you know, for a casual listen, you can listen to this for a long listening session without any fatigue, which is nice. So this has less sibilance than what you get with maybe the KZ ZSN Pro, definitely. So this kind of reminds me of the KZ ZSN, the old one. In terms of the highs, but this still has some good energy on top, so definitely it's not boring sounding, and still also has that nice extension on top, so definitely it's not lacking in the highs department. So I would say this is still one of the strengths of the KZ T1. In terms of mids, this is recessed again, and also a bit laid back and also veiled here in the mid, so definitely this is not the strength of the KZ T1. The vocals are still listenable though, you can still listen to them. You just need to pump up the volume a bit, but definitely this is not the same as other, you know, earphones that I am gonna compare it to here in the T1. Bass wise is in the boomy side, also slow bass overall. Bass heads can survive with this IEM. It has a lot of punch also, and kind of an in-your-face kind of bass. It's a fun sounding bass overall. So in terms of detail retrieval, for a $40 IEM, this definitely resolves well. I'd say there's a lot of detail here to throw around, especially for a $40 TWS. It has also some micro detail here. So the drivers that they included here resolves detail pretty fast, especially for that kind of price range, definitely. So it competes really well in that price range. Soundstage wise, this is expansive, a big soundstage here. So I would say this in the KZ S10 Pro kind of category in terms of the soundstage. So good work here with the soundstage. And also imaging is above average, not so bad overall in terms of imaging, and also separation is above average here. You can pinpoint the instruments here in the T1, even if with the smooth nature of the sound because of that big stage and also good imaging. The separation here is actually pretty good. Overall, this is a fun listen. So soundstage, imaging, separation, highs, and also bass, that's kind of a formula for a fun listen. Alright, so compared to the Redmi Airdots, which is my top recommendation under $20, the KZ T1 definitely feels more substantial in terms of the case. The KZ T1 also right off the bat has better detail retrieval, a lot more detail in the T1. So the highs are more detailed in the T1, more shimmer in the T1, also a lot more micro detail compared to what you get with the Redmi Airdots. So definitely the highs in the T1 is more revealing compared to what you get with the Airdots. The mids are better in the T1, more detail, also thicker. So even if the T1 is already laid back, the Redmi Airdots definitely still inferior to what you get with a T1. So the bass is similar, but the T1 has more punchy bass and also more substantial bass in the T1. The T1 has better imaging. The stage is similar here, still also big with the Redmi Airdots. Separation is better in the T1. So overall, the T1 is more technically capable, definitely better sound across the spectrum. So I'd say I like the T1 more than the Airdots. But definitely that's warranted because the T1 is almost twice the price of the Redmi Airdots. The Redmi Airdots still no slouch under $20. But how does it compare to the other KZ? So compared to the KZ ZSN, the ZSN is around $15. They're both V-shaped sound. The old ZSN has brighter highs, more clarity actually in the old KZ ZSN. The mids on the T1 is more laid back. The ZSN has more transparent, actually better mids in the KZ ZSN. The bass is even more substantial in the T1, more punchy bass, and has more bite in the T1. So again, for bass heads, this is something that you like. The ZSN still has some punch, but a bit more toned down in the ZSN. The ZSN also is a bit drier sounding, and the T1 is definitely smoother sounding. The stage is bigger in the T1. Imaging is better in the T1. Separation is better in the T1. So both have pros and cons. So I would say they're pretty comparable with each other. They're very close sounding to each other. I would say I like them both equally. So compared to the KZ ZSN Pro, the ZSN Pro is drier sounding. The T1 is more smooth. The ZSN Pro has more shimmer on top, a lot more clarity than what you get with the old ZSN. The mids are better in the ZSN Pro. The bass is similar. Imaging is better in the T1. Separation is better in the T1. So overall, again, they both have their strengths and weaknesses. I would say I like them both equally. So in terms of sound, the KZ-T1 kind of matches in the sub $20 range of KZ for me. It has some advantages with the soundstage and also imaging, but it's kind of lacking in the mids department. But definitely still for around $40 fully wireless pair, this sounds really good. This is one of the best sounding that I have heard in that kind of price range. Definitely that's impressive here in the KZ-T1. Where's the verdict? So the KZ-T1, KZ's first attempt in a TWS, I would say that sound for $40 is I would say already very good. It's nice sounding. Definitely a lot of people will like that detail retrieval, soundstage, and also the whole spectrum. Even if the mids are not that good, highs and bass is something that a lot of people will notice more than the mids. So I say they did a right job in terms of tuning the sound here. Unfortunately, in terms of the functionality, I did have some issues, especially that play and pause issue. When you're listening to it, your music will pause, so that is unfortunate for me. Hopefully that's something KZ will fix in the future in firmware updates. If you can survive with that, maybe this is something for you, but otherwise I will wait for the next version of KZ-T1. If you learned something, of course, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this in the future, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.